Recording. Okay, so here we go. All right, so almost Rosh Chodesh Elul, and I was just about to say that a lot of times when I was first married, we used to stay in Tannersville for the summer, and then when Elul would begin, we would still be in Tannersville. And there was a thing that is often quoted in Lubavitch that they would say in the old country that when Elul comes, the winds of tshuva start to blow. And it was very cool because in Tannersville, you could always feel when Elul came in, you could suddenly feel like that kind of little chilly breeze come, even in summer days, you would feel this like little breeze and you say, those winds of tshuva starting to blow. So here in Monsey, I can't say, having been outside a fair bit today, that I felt that winds of tshuva, but there, there is that we are entering into a different time. And one of the things about Rosh Chodesh, one of the things about the whole month of Elul is that it's an Eeit Ratzon. So what does it mean, an Eeit Ratzon? It means an auspicious time. And we have a few different times that we call auspicious times. Like when we light candles, that's an auspicious time. And there's a few different moments which are auspicious times, but Elul is the energy of Elul is allows us, and in a way, the energy of Elul lends itself for us to go on a bit of a journey. And the journey is turning inward and self-reflection and doing this thing that we call teshuvah. So teshuvah is returning to our essential self. And if we think about all of the learning that we do through the year, a lot of it has to do with being our authentic self. Because if you think about it, our authentic self is a self that is connected to the reality of ourselves being souls that are in bodies. So we're not bodies with the soul, we're souls that are incarnated in this time frame of our life, this particular period, this particular 120 years. We incarnated in a body, but our essential nature, our essential identity is the soul that we are. So teshuvah is something that we think about all the time. We should be thinking about is how are we living in sync and with that reality of our identity as a soul intact. So Elul is supposedly the 1 month of the year that's most suitable for us to do this journey of introspection and return to, if in any way we've kind of veered a little bit away from that identity, that connecting to that essential identity that we are essentially souls, and souls are, let's say, an extension of Hashem above, Hashem's representative as incarnated beings, but really his extension in the world, then how can we get more in line with that essential identity? So we know that the famous, what happened to my screen? It seems to
Do
have.
a shout out of 60 Days and Neely Salem's chauffeur book, which I'm waiting right now from Amazon.
Yeah, so we blow the shofar every day in Elul, right? And everything about Elul is a wake up, wake up, wake up. And then we have all these well-known things in Elul where we can take the name Elul and the phrases that connect Elul to an idea. So one of the ideas of Elul, which we've spoken about very many times, but it happens to be that this week it's actually repeated in the Parsha, is that Elul is compared to a city of refuge. So, and I'm going to just repeat, or maybe I'll just ask you because I feel bored. We've spoken about it so many times. What is a city of refuge, and for whom is a city of refuge. So if you tell me
No,
instead of me telling you, then that's good.
yeah. There's no such thing as prison in the Torah. These are places that if you accidentally kill somebody, that you get to go there and be safe. And I didn't know this, but I think the Levies are there too.
Right,
I never heard that, but I just heard that for the first time this year. And it's a place to that a person can't run after you to kill you in revenge. It's a
right.
place to reflect, and it happened to you for a reason. You may not have done it on purpose, but nothing happens by accident. So there's some lesson to be learned.
Okay, thank you for that. So if you accidentally kill somebody, the family of that accidentally killed person is allowed to take revenge on you unless you're in the city of refuge. So if you can get yourself to the city of refuge, and so I've said many times, they had lots of signposts on the road showing you city of refuge, 2 miles down the road, turn left, city of refuge, down that way. There were a lot of signposts so that you could find your way to the city of refuge very quickly. And then as we learned together this year, the Levium were there, living there, I guess, for positive influence. And as Susan says, even if something happened to you by accident, there's no such thing as an accident. So we say that if you put your hand into your pocket and you're looking for a quarter, and instead of a quarter, you get a dime or a penny, there's a subtle lack of synchronicity between you and Hashem's will. Because if everything is completely aligned, you put your hand in your pocket for a quarter and you get a quarter. So no such thing as an accident. So if something happens, God forbid, and if for some reason you are in the situation of accident where you kill somebody, so from a cosmic point of view, that person was meant to be killed. But the fact that it came through your hand, you do need to rebalance, recenter. Maybe you're not grounded. Maybe you haven't been so thoughtful. Maybe accidents are happening because you scattered or whatever you are doing. You go to the city of refuge and you stay there until the Kohen Gadol passes away. And then when he passes away, I guess then what happens? Because you're free to go, but then maybe the family are not allowed to take any vengeance on you at all when there's that changing of the guard, so to speak. That's why the mother of the Kohanim, the Kohen Gadol, the mothers of the Kohanim Gadolim would bring food to the people that they shouldn't pray for their sons to pass away so that they could get out of their city of refuge. So Elul as a month is compared to that city of refuge. So how do we compare a time zone to a place? So the same way that the same way that this space was a refuge for you, Elul is a refuge of time. So let me read it inside. So I'll read it here. Moshe, so this is just jumping into the Parsha now, that in the fifth reading, because the Parsha is divided into 7 parts. So
The name of the Parsha is
Shoftim. The name of the
Oh,
Parsha is
yes,
Shoftim, which means judges. And it's really
yes.
all about appointing judges, police, kings. It's going to talk about the leadership of the Jewish people under rules and laws. So one of the rules and the laws, and just remind everybody that we, in this last book of the Torah, Sefer Devarim, and we, in this period where the Jews are on the border and they haven't gone into Eretz Israel yet, and Moshe knows he's not going to be able to go with them into the land of Israel, and he's giving them this prolonged monologue of talking about things that happened while they were on their journey since they left Egypt, all the things that happened as they were moving through the desert. And then he's now also talking about when you come into the land of Israel, you you should do this and this and this, and you must remember to do that and that and that. But he's not going to go in with them. So one of the things that he told them is that they must not listen to false prophets. And he reviewed the laws of the city of refuge. When someone commits an accidental murder, the stroke of divine providence indicates that the accidental murderer needs to be exiled to one of these cities in order to cure himself of some inner defect that would otherwise go unrectified. So one should also know that even though accidents happen, when an accident happens to you, you have to also self-reflect. Why am I ungrounded, unfocused? What's going on with me that this accident, happened? The victim's close relatives are allowed to kill the accidental murderer unless he has fled to one of these special designated cities as an asylum city. Now we're going to take the actual law and put it into a Hasidic philosophical aspect about ourselves in relation to this time period of Elul. Allegorically, the relative who seeks to avenge the victim's blood is our own evil inclination. It attempts to trick us into sinning, thereby causing us to suffer some form of spiritual death. So in other words, just like there's an accidental murderer who murdered someone, so we have an accidental murderer trying to murder our own spiritual well-being and kind of catch us, so we got to run to the city of refuge. The messianic redemption will be our ultimate refuge from this pursuer, from the evil inclination. It will be nullified in the messianic future. Similarly, the future resumption of the temple service will afford all who need it the opportunity to complete their atonement. But in the meantime, the study of the Torah is our refuge from our evil inclination, for the holiness of the Torah has the power to neutralize the effect of evil on us. And then also the month of Elul has this effect of being a refuge, that we can go into the time frame of Elul where we can be enveloped with this idea of going inward. So just to talk a little bit more about the Elul identity of Elul. It's the only month that has a feminine energy, which is interesting. So from an astrological point of view, all the months are masculine months. But the month of Elul, which is Virgo, right, in the astrological parlance, it's Virgo, which is the virgin, which is the innocence, which is also this feminine energy, which is a receiving energy. So it's interesting because there's two different aspects of this receiving that when we talk about the month of Elul, there's another word that connects to the phrase of Elul, which is Ani ledodi v'dodi li, that I am to my beloved and my beloved is to me. So although I just said it's a feminine energy, I'm going to say something now that almost seems to contradict the feminine energy idea. That we have different parts of the year where energies are different. So let's say we have Nisan, which is the Pesach energy, when Hashem intervened and he kind of illuminated reality from on high, and he grabbed us out of Egypt and he took us out and redeemed us and brought us out of Egypt into the desert. So that's kind of like a top-down energy, Hashem intervening and disrupting nature, and we had all the plagues and everything, and to get us out. Elul is a different kind of energy. The energy of Elul is from the bottom up. We are trying to bring ourselves and bring Hashem into relationship. It's kind of, we are working on ourselves, trying to open ourselves, trying to connect to Hashem, trying to correct ourselves to open this relationship. Ani ledodi v'dodi li. It's not top down, it's more bottom up. We trying to bring ourselves up in and connect in that relationship. Anything else I want to tell you about Elul before we get into the Parsha? So the astrological sign is Virgo, the virginal. So the idea of Elul is to try to come into Yom Kippur with, as you know, we're going to have a clean slate, but you can't clean that slate without a little preparation. So we kind of working towards that cleansing. The Hebrew letter of Elul is a very amazing letter. It's a kind of a magical letter in a way, because if I put my pencil on a paper and I just make a dot, I've already made that letter. What
Yud.
letter is it?
Yud.
Yud.
Yeah.
It's the smallest point. It's from that small point is the beginning. So Elul is kind of, we're beginning this new reality. Now, it's not, Rosh Hashanah is 6 days.
What is, I don't want to interrupt, but what does the Elul have to do with the Yud? Did I miss something?
Sorry, you
Did
you distorted again that I
explain
can't hear
why?
your question, but let me try and clarify. So Rosh Hashanah is the first of Tishrei. That's the new year. But that's not the day that creation begins. The day that creation begins is 6 days earlier than that, because the first of Tishrei is the day that humankind is created. When we celebrate Rosh Hashanah, we say this is the day that mankind was created. So creation started 6 days earlier than that. But the energy of Elul is this new beginning, because Elul feeds into Tishrei, which is the beginning of the year. But the month of Elul, the letter is the Yud. So it's almost like before we get the beginning, we get the pre-beginning, the germinating of what becomes manifest in Tishrei, in the new year, in Rosh Hashanah. So it's the first, the Hebrew letter is Yud. The tribe is Gad. Gad is the tribe. And I think for now that is enough of Elul, and we will go into the Parsha. So
Okay, before you move on, I just
you have to type it out. Sorry, you have to type it out
I'm not
as it
even
takes.
using my
Can't hear you. I can't hear you, so you're very indistinct. You type it out and I'll read your question on the chat if you type it out. Because when you talk, it's very indistinct and I can't hear what you're saying. So type it out and I'll try and hear it that way. Sorry, but I can't hear you. Okay, so now we are coming into the Parsha. And the Parsha is Shoftim. So Shoftim are judges. Now, it's very interesting because we're living in a time when authority is being questioned. We're living in a time where police, there's an opinion, and I remember talking about this last year, that there's opinion amongst very progressive people that maybe we don't need the police and we don't need judges, or we don't need courts of law. We don't need this type of law and order. Maybe people will just want to govern themselves. So there is some method to that madness, or some evidence in Torah that at some point we're going to get to a place in history, or looking ahead, I should say, where we are not going to need the police the way we do now. So I wanted, let me try and get the Parsha. Let's just see. Sorry.
By Mashiach, we don't need police, is what you're referring to?
Well, they're going to say, what we're going to see is that when the times of Mashiach come, we are going to have judges, but we're not going to have the police in the same way. That now we have judges and police, and that it's going to be that we just are going to have the judges, and that people will be more self-governing without police in the way that we have it now. So it's interesting because we see a lot of times certain things in the public space where there's aspects of what's coming, but in a very not nice way. And it's weird because we see certain things, and one of them is, we've spoken before with the feminist movement, let's say, where there's certain things that are part of Torah reality, but not in a rectified way, because according to Torah reality, in the messianic world, there'll be the manifestation of the feminine energy it'll be different. Than it won't be a patriarchal society, that the feminine aspects will come to the fore, and there'll be a different gender reality and a lot of things that are happening in the world, but not in a rectified way. So one of those things is the sheriffs and the police. So let's just see this here. So you can see, oh, can you see my sharing, or you can't see my sharing? Can you see my
Yeah, it's really tiny, but
okay, so let me see if I can get it bigger. So I'm going
I only
share.
see the
Okay, let's
no,
try
I don't
again.
see it. All I
Okay.
see is the text
All right, so
having to do with whether having a meeting.
I'm going to knock out a few different things, and I'm going to take that bigger, and then I'm going to go to share, and I'm going to open that, and there it is. And now, all right, do you see it now, bigger?
Yes.
Okay.
Not as bigger, but yeah, there you go.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, now it went so big that I can't even find it. Okay, let's see. Wow, that's very strange. Okay, sorry. Let me just, wow, so many things here. Got it. Okay, let's try to find it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? There. This is learn to read. I don't want to learn to read. Here. Wow, we came back. Okay. So this is the beginning of the Parsha. Shoftim v'shotrim titein lecha. Shoftim are the judges. V'shotrim are the sheriffs. Titein lecha, you should make for yourself. B'chol sha'arecha, in all your, sha'arecha are your gates, but it could be in all your cities, but it's really in all your gated spaces. Asher Hashem Elokecha, which Hashem your God, notein lecha, has given to you. Lish vatecha v'shoftu et ha'am mishpat tzedek. For each of your tribes, they must judge the people by rendering fair judges. By rendering fair judgments, I'm sorry. So, first of all, if you had a question, how much authority do we need in our world? Are people able to just manage themselves? Are people able to just, have societies where we all free and we don't need to have these organized, so the Torah says, if you want a society that's going to function, you have to have And the words in Hebrew, shoftim v'shotrim, right? Shoftim v'shotrim, sheriffs and judges. And let's see what Rashi says. Judges who issue rulings and those who are able to subjugate the people, so they follow the judge's order. So who are the shoftim are the judges, and the shotrim are the sheriffs or the police that enforce the judges. And it says here in Rashi, I'm kind of almost embarrassed to read it, but it does say here, beating and imprisoning them, using sticks and whips if necessary until they accept the judge's verdict. So there you go. But you have to have fair judges and you have to have righteous judges. But I do know, it doesn't say it right here, I do know, though, that in the time to come, there'll be the judges, but there won't need to be the sheriffs, because people have to have the rules, but they won't have to have the rules enforced, because they will not have that Yetzer Hara not to listen to the rules. Okay, so if we think about Moshe standing on the borders, so this is the blueprint for a Torah state, how it's supposed to be run and managed. And not only are there judges and police, but there's a king, there are priests, there are prophets, and these are all the details of how the city has to be, or not the city, how the country has to be run. So let's see, just for a second, because we always have a Hasidic interpretation of all the rules that we learn about, what could be the Hasidus of Shotrim and Shoftim, or Shoftim and Shotrim? So it says you should have judges and you should have, let's actually look at the wording again, because it spoke about at the gates of your cities. And when you see the word gates of your cities, we've had that before. Well, it says here, Shoftim v'shotrim titein lecha b'chol sha'arecha. So in all your cities. But sha'arecha, I think, also is, I think it's literally means gates. It means cities, but it literally means gates. So if we would give a Hasidic interpretation of that, on having come to classes with me for a while, what could that?
The word simcha comes to mind. The word pious comes to mind. Connecting to Hashem, being joyful. I don't know. Those are the Hasidic words that come to mind. So I don't know.
Okay. Anything on the gates? Anything appointing judges?
Yeah,
or
my teacher
police?
lives on Southgate.
Okay. Anything else that comes to mind? Okay. If we say that Torah is always operating on multiple levels, so on one level, we have the people entering into Eretz Israel, the political reality, they're going to have a city, they're going to have a community, they're going to have, they're going to be a nation, and they have to put judges and they have to put police people at the gates of the city, the places where people enter and where people exit. We have that now. We have border control, right? We have passports, we have security, we have a lot of border control. So from a Hasidic point of view, first of all, a Hasidic point of view will always take the narrative from a what to a what. How will the narrative go? From a which kind of reality to which kind of reality? I see I'm making you work hard, and it's hard to work hard, especially when you're tired and you just got back from traveling and you're still jet lagged and all of the. Okay, So the Hasidic thing will take it from the national, the practical, the pragmatic, and put it to the personal, to the existential, right? To the individual and their own personal journey. So if you have the whole nation, and Moshe says, when the whole nation comes into Israel and you're a nation state and you have to guard all your gates, how would that translate to the personal, to the individual?
Your own personal gates, your own behaviors.
Thank you. Tell me more.
I can't
Okay.
right now.
I'm going to just look at my
Stop for a second.
face. Look at my face. I'm giving you a lot of hints. Look at my face. Gates, gates, gates,
What you
gates.
take in, protect yourself from
Yes,
the bad things outside.
yes,
I was thinking
exactly.
when we say Chassidus, the pious, the stringencies that Chassidim tend to, you know,
So Hasidus is not really just for the Hasidim. Hasidus is sort of taking the practical and sort of finding the existential. So, or
deeper.
the spiritual aspect. So yes, so you're right. So your eyes, we've spoken about this in terms of the menorah. Rabbi Nachman says when you light up the menorah, you yourself becomes the menorah in the same way that the candle lights of the menorah have to be pure olive oil. Your own lights have to be pure. Your eyes, your ears, your nostrils, your mouth. Rabbi Nachman talks about purifying yourself as a menorah. And now in this parsha, it's saying, make sure that you have little police on guard by your gates. Your two eyes are your gates of what you see. Your two ears are the gates of what you're going to hear. Your mouth, the gate of what's going to go in your mouth and come out of your mouth, right? So we have to be standing on guard. So to make sure that what comes in is good and proper and appropriate and not depressing, not overwhelming. You know, we can define good and pious and righteous very differently. But when we use words like not overwhelming, not depressing, not flooding, you have to guard yourself from what you're seeing and what you're hearing. Of course, it also should guard you from, making you want to do things that are against halacha. But you need to guard yourself against agendas. You need to guard yourself against commercialism. You need to guard yourself against people trying to sell you stuff. You got to guard yourself against people doing propaganda. There's a lot of places where you got to have guards on your ears, your eyes, your mouth, so that you can stay a conscious person, so that you can stay. Remember, what we're trying to do is keep ourselves aligned to our essential identity. And if you think about the onslaught of how much stuff is coming at us from the media and whatever, that, guarding what you see, guarding what you hear, guarding what you're imbibing does actually make a lot of sense that we would guard ourselves, right? Right. Okay, let's see what else the Parsha is going to tell us. So let's hide Rashi for a minute. Okay, you must not pervert justice. You must not show partiality. Don't accept a bribe, for bribery blinds the eyes of the sages and perverts the just words of the Torah. And then this is very famous. I'm going to ask Linda to read it. We're looking at verse 20, and you can read it in Hebrew. I'm trying to make it big. And here we go.
Sedek, Sedek, Tirdof, Lima'an, Tehiyeh, V'yarashta,
Good.
Et Haaretz, Asher, Adonai, Elohecha, noten lach.
Good. You want to read the English of that?
Yes, justice, justice you must you pursue in order that you live and take possession of the land that God, your God, is giving you.
Good. Okay, I'm trying to stop this call and I can't seem to stop it. Okay, I'm just going to stop it. Okay. Okay. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. So I'm still here, right? You didn't lose me. Okay. Stop share. Okay, there's a lot of interference today. Okay. Okay, so go back to the share. All right. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. So they have this printed in courtrooms, even in America. They have this, it's a very famous phrase.
Yeah.
Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. Justice, justice, you must pursue. Or justice, justice, you must pursue in order that you live and take possession of the land that Hashem, your God, is giving you. So this is this, famous thing about justice. It's a value, a Jewish value. Let's see what it says here in Rashi. Justice, justice. So whenever a word is repeated in Hebrew, like tzedek, tzedek, tirdof, not just one time, but two times, it means that this is really something that you have to take seriously. It's not just tzedek, tirdof, but tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. It's a strong incentive to do this thing. And then it says, in merit of appointing judges, that is going to give you the capacity to settle the land of Egypt, Israel, to keep Israel alive and to settle them. The merit of appointing upright judges is sufficient to keep Israel alive and to settle them. So, tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. Okay, very important to cultivate and to pursue justice. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. Okay. Don't plant for yourself a deified tree. So the nations of the world used to worship different kinds of trees. You can't plant those trees. Don't erect for yourself a single stoned altar. And then it's coming here. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. So then we get to this piece. Okay, in the fourth reading, let's just go to the fourth reading. Let's just go here. We'll hide Rashi and we'll go to the fourth reading. And the fourth reading is 18:6. Yeah, 18:6. Right. So here, okay, so a lot of what Moshe has to tell the people when they're coming to Eretz Israel is, you are living in a world where there's a lot of idol worship. You are not idol worshipers. You have a relationship with God. It's very interesting because I'll just stop the share for a minute to just talk about this. When God created the world, what we learn is that Hashem had all of his isness, all of God's isness, and then he did something called a contraction, and he constricted his light and his abundance and his all-encompassingness And he constricted it, and he constricted it, and he constricted it in more and more constrictions till we come down to the world of physical reality. Now, in the world of that we live in physical reality, we're walking around in bodies, and you can't really see the spiritual reality. The spiritual reality is implied, and we feel it, but we can't touch it. Then when we go above our world to the next world, there's worlds that are less physical and there are worlds that are less physical. If you climb up in the spiritual worlds, there are other people, channelers, energy workers, magic workers, alchemists, all kinds of people who have capacity to kind of look at different realities and energies, and the stargazers and the astrologers and all these things. And Hashem acknowledges, and Torah acknowledges, that those things have certain power, because there is energy in all. As you go up between our physical world and the world where Hashem is everything, there's different levels where things, the energetic realm. So different idol worshippers and different practices connect into those different levels of energy and planets and stars and who knows what. But Hashem says, you, my dear beloved Jewish people, you don't need any of that stuff. You are part of me. You are connected to me before we even go down that whole ladder of more and more, less and less spiritual and more physical. Those other idol worshippers, those other astrologers, those channelers, those different people working with energy, they all connecting to something or other. It's true.
It's
Has a reality.
right.
But
Yeah.
you, my dear people, can come directly to me. You don't have to get stuck and be involved in all these sort of middleman machinations, because I and you are one and together, and you don't need any of that stuff. So now when we go back in the Parsha and we look at this fourth reading, it says, we spoke about the Levium, and now we're saying, when you come into the land that your God is giving you, don't study those nations and their ways. Here it's in English, the abominations of those nations. You don't have to do their stuff. You don't have to pass, one of their avodah zorahs was passing their children through fire. I don't know if they actually, maybe they had fire burning on each side and they walked through the fire. I'm not sure exactly what they did, but you don't have to pass your children through fire. You don't have to use sticks to divine. You don't have to connect with diviners or illusionists or interpret omens or contact sorcerers. Or it says here, a snake or scorpion diviner, spirit diviner, a Yadua diviner, or a diviner who communicates with the dead. You don't have to do all these things. Hashem doesn't need you. You don't need any of these things to communicate with them, and he's going to drive all of them out. Why? Because, let's read the last line in this. Who wants to read it? 13. Does somebody want to read it in Hebrew and in English? Yud Gimel?
Yug, Yug, how do you say that? Yug.
This
Oh,
one, yeah.
Hamim,
Hamim,
Hamim, Tahiyeh,
Tihiyeh,
Kihiyeh,
Tihiyeh,
oh, Tihiyeh, Im, Hashem, Elohecha.
right. Tamim, Tihiyeh, Im Hashem Elokecha. Now, you know the word tam because everybody knows from the Parsha, what is a tam, right? There are four sons. There's the Chochem, the clever son. There's the Rasha, the bad son, or the Rasha of a son. There's the one Eini lo ledat lishol, the one who doesn't know how to ask a question. And then there's a tam. What's the tam? Who's the tam?
Simple.
Simple.
Right.
Simple doesn't mean bad, doesn't mean stupid, doesn't mean ignorant. It means simple, uncomplicated, straightforward, not layered, not complex, simple. So here Hashem is saying, Tamim tihiyeh im Hashem Elokecha. Be whole, be tamim, be. The translation here is wholehearted, but it's really, don't make it complicated. Just be with Hashem, you and him. You don't need all these avodah zoras, these special trees and these special idols. Just talk to God. Just go straight to the source.
You
don't-
invite this huge conversation about healers, like you even had healer in your house training people. It was surprising to me that that was on the list of things with avodah zarah and all that. And I know that my neighbor does, energy work, and the rabbis ushered it at crystals are ushered by many rabbis. It's like a whole topic.
Okay, so first of all, remind me, which healer did I have giving training in my house?
Oh, Chana Bracha.
Oh, Chana Bracha. Oh, so Chana Bracha is doing Emunah healing. She's trying to channel the power of Hashem and
Right.
trust in Hashem. But
There's
then you're
so many
saying,
types of healers. Yeah.
what about
One
crystals?
brain, brain gym. I don't know. There's all kinds of healers. Like there's dime a dozen. There's so many out there. Energy work, crystals, all sorts of things.
Okay, so I'm really happy that you're bringing this up. So, and you're right, it is an interesting conversation because one thing is acknowledging that Hashem created in certain things that he put into the world that they have energy, like a crystal, like herbs, like food, like essential oils, like that Hashem put into the earth healing agents that we use because we acknowledging that Hashem put them in the world for our benefit. And we using his world and the nature and the creations in nature to heal ourselves, acknowledging that Hashem is the benefactor of those healing things like crystals or herbs or oils or whatever. There's another thing when you giving power to that thing as an independent entity, as something that has its own inherent power. Now, I understand that it does get tricky because you could think that certain things, that the thing itself is the healer, as opposed to Hashem has invested in that thing healing property. So I guess
Even your hands. I mean, they're using their hands for energy healing.
right.
Right.
So I guess when they came into Eretz Israel, they and this is probably a deep study, when things that are being used in Hashem's world for healing is kosher, and when things that are in Hashem's world are being used and are being given power in a way that is not kosher. And it's probably subtle in
Yeah,
some
one
ways.
rabbi will say yes and one rabbi will say no. I mean, I've been on that journey for 30 years with my neighbor of yes, it's okay. No, it's not okay. It's us, sir. It's okay. It's not.
Right.
Mhm.
So it's true because I have heard, even I'm not a partaker of psychedelics myself, but I have heard people talk about psychedelics and they talk about like Mama ayahuasca or something, and they speak about it like it has a power, and it sounds a little avodah zarah to me because they're putting a lot of
Truth. They're looking for truth.
So you're right. It is a big conversation. I would conclude that conversation and say that when you're coming into Eretz Israel, when we finding our path, how to navigate where we connecting to Hashem, but we using, for example, if I think of crystals, you don't have to be an avodah zarah worshiper to understand that different crystals have different frequencies, let's say, or healing properties. And as a God-fearing person, to use, if you know about them, to use those crystals in a way that they help you balance your energy. As a God-fearing person, knowing that Hashem put that in the world, I don't feel like there's an avodah zarah issue over there. You use a herb.
Rabbis do usher it. Some rabbis do usher it.
You do, well, where do you draw the line? Hashem put
So
food
hard.
in. He put food in the world. He put herbs in the world. He put oils in the world. He put substances for us to use in the world. If we know that everything that is coming our way is because Hashem has gifted us with those things, and in our relationship is Hashem, you gifted me with this thing. I'm in relationship with Hashem as the one who's provided these things. Hashem is the one who's opened their healing power to me. You're still in your relationship with you and Hashem. We're not 7-day Adventists. Because I'm with Hashem, I can't use doctors, I can't use medicine. That's not our way. So I guess I'm not going to be able to cover it completely, comprehensively, to where that line is going over the line or, not correct. But the Torah is very clear about certain things. There were certain trees that they worshipped that we can't plant those trees. They couldn't, they certainly couldn't worship those trees. The idols that talked about in all of Torah, the the Moloch idol, the Baal Peor idol, even the Tammuz we spoke about at the retreat. Tammuz was an idol. Where are we we could say in our lifetime now, money is an idol, our cell phones are idols. Where do we use things and where are we losing our agency and worshiping things? So something to think about, but just to return for one brief minute, that what we were speaking about is all of these diviners, communications with the dead. Hashem is saying, be wholehearted, tamim tihye im Hashem Elokecha, have a relationship with me, trust in me. You don't need to consult fortune tellers, you don't need to go to astrologers. Just trust in your relationship with me, and everything good will come to you from that point, from that space. So I think that we will talk more about Elul. We will talk more about the opportunities of Elul. Very
Do a
basic.
shout out for 60 days and Neely Salam's book. I mean, like, I can't do 60 days anymore. I did it for decades. I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
But I value it so dearly. And now I'm doing Neely Salem's book.
Right. So shout out Simon Jacobson has a book, 60 Days, something all the way through from now till the end of all the Yomim Tovim. And I think I spoke about it, that Neely was blowing the shofar all around the world every day of Elul, and then she put a book together with different meditations about Elul and the shofar. So yeah, shout out to that. And happy Eluling.
Yeah, good Chodesh, good Chodesh.
Good Chodesh.
And the light on your face from Alaska is so evident, like something happened there. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice to see everybody, Linda and